Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you again for the latest episode of Get on the Grid with Chessie Roberts. My guest tonight is Erica Lonabaugh, and she and I would like for you to join us in aligning with the energies of co-creation so that this show gives you the best information to your highest good and best outcome. Welcome, Erica. It's so nice to have you on the show with me tonight.
Thank you so much.
Whenever people are listening.
I'm honored to be on your show. It's awesome.
Cool. For those of you who have not met Erica, I want to tell you that she's a coach, a spiritual teacher, and trainer who helps people who want to create their dream life. Erica believes that there are that there is a lot of power in our thoughts and beliefs, but people often attribute their pain or feeling stuck to external circumstances, like the way another person acts or the job that they have or the weight that they carry on their bodies. Erica is a translator of sorts and is able to bring clarity to what someone is currently manifesting in their lives and helps them heal in order to help them get to the perfect alignment with what they truly desire. Erica's purpose is to show others how to create what they want in their life by helping them to become aware of what's going on in their mind. Once aware, people have the choice to become the one in charge of their mind and use that as the amazing tool that it was always meant to be. And, Erica, I have to agree with you, and my clients and longtime listeners can tell you that once you become aware, you can't become unaware, and that's one of my biggest hot buttons.
Yes, it's so true. It's like those little aha moments where you're like, oh, I had no idea. And once you are awakened to that, there's no going back.
Well, it's
all choice after
it
that.
Doesn't feel right, does it?
Exactly. I always say when people are ready to heal, they're going to find everything that they need. So when they're ready to let go of something, when they're ready to kind of get to that next level of being, then the awareness will come. So they're typically, after that, they've already made the choice, so there is no going back.
Right. What got you started in all this?
I've always been, I guess, a spiritual person, very intuitive since I was young, kind of labeled as different. And, I went on that path of different is cool. I don't care. I did the cheerleader thing, but I always stayed true to who I was. I always listened to my gut, my intuition, and it led me through my life. When I was 17, we had some issues with my mom, and, we weren't getting along very well, and I suffered from depression. And one day I was tired of not being able to get out of bed in the morning. So I didn't want to be sad, and I took a whiteboard, and I put it across from my bed, and anything that I thought negative about myself, I put the opposite. So if I thought I was stupid or ugly, I'd put that I'm beautiful and smart. So it helped me get out of bed on the days that I didn't want to get out of bed, and I realized how powerful our thoughts and our ideas of ourselves are, and how that can change your outlook on life and potentially your whole entire path. So I got into reading everything I could find about spirituality and any kind of self-help books, psychology books, and kind of went from there. I was a walking self-help book, I guess you could say. and I was pretty young, so people were like, how do you know these things? And I really don't know, but it was just something I had to learn through and grow through myself, through my own personal experiences. And I don't know, maybe saw things in slow motion, almost from situation to situation, and I would practice what I was learning, and I saw things change, and I saw that we create what we want. We could create what we want, depending on our beliefs and our mindset. So that's kind of how it started, and it grew from there.
One of the things that I have discovered along this same type of path, because I, like you, had to sort of find my way through all of it, and I think you're absolutely right that changing your thought process, changing your self-talk, and I'm a huge proponent of this, will change everything in your life. It also changes your body chemistry, but one of the things that goes along with that is you need to practice what you're preaching to yourself, right?
Absolutely. And that was where you actually, well, for me personally, it's where I saw the manifestation take place. I used to call myself a mirror because that's what it felt like. I would learn certain things and I would practice it, and then all of a sudden everything around me, everything, every person, everything would shift. And like I wasn't even trying to change anything or change anyone. I was just on my path, and for some reason it affected other people around me. So that's when
I agree with that too.
It's amazing. And that's when the manifestation part, or not part, but the really trying to figure out what manifestation is and all the mystery that's surrounding that and what we are, truly what we are.
I want to talk a little bit more about manifestation, but I want to do it after we finish talking about this.
Sure.
What happens is as we change our thoughts, we change our frequencies. And this is a statement of mine just to see if you agree with me. And as we change these frequencies and they expand and rise, that cascades out to everything and everyone around us, and that's when you start to see the changes. The people who don't vibrate with where you are will leave. New people will come in to raise that vibration even higher. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, it was amazing because the mirror effect, as I call it, it was almost like people were able to see things about themselves that they didn't know existed. They, you know, gain awareness. And then you would see the anger at first, and then they're left with themselves. They're only left with what's there, what is. And they had that choice of accepting it and making a change or, you know, fighting and walking away. But just like you said, the frequencies as far as if they matched or didn't match is if, you know, whether they would stay or not or change.
One of the things that popped into my head while you were talking, there's a meme I've seen on Facebook a whole lot, and it's the little kitten looking into the mirror and seeing the fierce lion.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of encapsulates what you're talking about, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that image, actually. So that's so funny.
Well, let's go on into manifestation. Manifestation is a real hot topic these days, and it's also really challenging for a lot of people. And I have to say that I'm one of those people. One day I can manifest like crazy, and the next day it seems like I just can't get through to anything, and sort of an ebb and flow kind of a thing. And I've learned not to judge it, just to let happen what happens. But what would you say about that?
Well, I feel like we're always manifesting, whether we like it or not, whether it's positive or what we would think is a negative experience, we're constantly manifesting. So, you know, and also in our society nowadays, we want things when we want it, exactly in that moment. We have very short attention spans, so we don't have a lot of patience. So a lot of times it's, okay, this is what I want. I did my positive thinking. I've meditated, and it should be here, right? Now, like that, that's exactly what I want. And we have an image of it. We know what it should be wrapped in, and we just have all of these expectations. And I find that we're easily, just like, you know, we're easily disappointed. So it's like planting a seed, and then you're digging it up, and then is it growing? Is it growing? Oh, it's not growing. And then you keep doing that. You know, you're not having faith at what you asked for you're going to get. And, you know, you might get something even more amazing that you wouldn't have expected.
I think, too, that a lot of times we get so fixated on what we think it's going to look like that we might miss it in another form.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or the opportunity. You never know, because every possibility can turn into something. You know what I mean? You never know what package it's going to come in. And so,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I know.
The phone thing is interesting. I was going to say that I've stopped looking for possibilities. I now embrace probability in all things. If something happens that's not, let's say, to my liking that day, then I know that there's a probability in there somewhere that something good's coming right behind it, or it's masked in another form, and that's what I start looking for. What would you say about that?
Well, that's a great way to get rid of the negative feelings that you felt from what came that you didn't expect. It's really difficult to have a situation come about that we're not expecting or could, think of as a negative thing, which we practice not judging it, which is difficult. So it's really good. I really agree with that mindset of, okay, I felt this, I didn't like this experience, and accepting that and then changing what you're holding on to, which is a probability of something positive, regardless of what just took place. So it quickly shifts what could happen in your mind. So I always feel like things linger. So if something that we consider negative happens, a lot of times we just replay it in our mind over and over and over again. Why did that happen? How did that happen? And we stay on it. We keep that negative energy around us, creating more of that negativity versus seeing whatever positive thing that you can and grabbing onto that and gaining momentum off of that positivity to create those types of experiences.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part of that last sentence.
Instead of holding on to or grabbing onto any bit of positivity that could be in the situation, and building that type of energy and that momentum to create more positive experiences. Because I feel like we're always – go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like we're always going to be creating different experiences, and it's very hard not to judge, but we tend to judge it as negative or positive. So if we quickly just shift our thinking into something positive, then we can create more of those experiences, and we don't stay on the negativity as long, creating more of those experiences.
Right. What I did, trying to not judge, is a very challenging life lesson. And a lot of people have had trouble with it. One of the things that I did to help me, and if you have pointers to add, please do, to get over the judgmental thing, is to stop looking at what's wrong with a situation and look at what's right. Yes, that's still a judgment, but it's on the plus side. And the other thing, like I mentioned before, is when something happens that I really wish hadn't happened, I ask myself and my higher guidance, okay, what's the lesson I'm missing here? Because I have discovered that any time we have a recurring situation, whether it be with your significant other or with a job situation or, growing petunias, whatever it is, if you keep running into the same issues, then there's a lesson in the process that you're missing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even just something as simple as, I'm trying to think, I had an issue, not an issue, but I realized that I was comfortable with struggle. And so just as you said, if you have reoccurring situations or negativity with relationships or just anything that comes about over and over again, that was happening in my life, and I'm going, what is going on? And I figured out that I was comfortable with struggle. And it wasn't until I became aware of that and accepted it, instead of trying to say, no, I'm not, and push it away, I accepted it and then was able to say, okay, I know I'm comfortable with struggle, but now it's time for me to let that go and to release that, and I want to move towards peace and being happy, and accepting something else in place of it.
I think that's something that everybody kind of becomes accustomed to, physical pain, struggling with first one thing and then another. But I would say that if we can become aware of the fact that we created what's there and own our own stuff and realize that it's no longer serving us, then we can let go a little easier. Would you say that that's the truth, or have I oversimplified?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's that simple but that difficult, because it's again, we've become comfortable with it. It's like our safety blanket. It's our normal. So it's when you decide, hey, I don't want to struggle anymore. You know, I want to be happy. I want something different. It's when you make that choice or that decision that you can actually take an honest look at what's going on, you know. And
all
make
right.
changes.
Well, that's simple and easy enough said. Having done that, I know that it's a challenge from the start to the finish. But I think the biggest hurdle we have is to decide that that's what we're going to do and then act on that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, that's what coaching does, and having that objectivity and somebody there helping you discover what's going on, what you're upset about, what dysfunctions are there, and helping you really unravel that, you know, and is this what's going on, and what do you want to do about it? You know, it's different. It's like,
because sometimes it's hard to see what is happening when you're the one in the middle of it. So that coaching aspect is a huge help for everybody.
Absolutely. Mhm. So it helps you become aware of what's going on, even if you kind of know it's completely different when you hear it coming from someone else in a different type of package.
Right.
So.
Well, you know, new words and new eyes and new perspective is always good when you're digging through a challenge, and when you don't have an outsider to help you look at things in uncommitted perspective, shall we say, it is difficult, and I know that because I've done it both ways.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the biggest issue is what you said right at the top of the show: becoming aware that something isn't the way you want it to be.
Yeah,
and what pointers would you give people to start to become aware, to start to realize? What questions can they ask themselves? How can they get started, headed in the right direction for them?
I would say to start to quiet the chatter in their mind. They need to become aware of the fact that they have, first of all, have a mind that typically runs continuously with mindless chatter, and a lot of times with hurtful chatter. So I feel like the first step of awareness is becoming aware of that chatter in the first place, becoming aware of the dysfunction in the first place, and the negative self-talk that we have going on. So that's usually the first step, is to kind of sit with yourself and just observe your thoughts. You know, not follow them, don't judge them, but just observe them and see what's going on in your mind continuously. And I think that's the first kind of wake-up call that, oh, that's what I'm creating. That's what I'm feeling inside of me. You know?
One of the things I might add to that I tell my students and clients is, if you have a thought that makes you feel bad about you, that is not a thought that you need to hold on to.
Absolutely.
And that's a really good watermark, I think, balance point. If it makes you feel bad, you don't need it. If it makes you feel uplifted and powerful, then it's a good thought, yeah?
Absolutely.
All right. So after we have determined that we're thinking these things we really don't need, what do we do next?
So once you've become aware of the fact that you've got this chatter going on, it's just important to slow it down, so that you can replace it, or you can figure out where it came from in the first place. And you know, with me, I've always took to meditation, and just sitting quietly and just observing my thoughts and trying to figure out why I feel a certain way. And then also, just like you said, with the indicators as far as feelings are concerned, usually that's going to lead, you're going to know exactly what thought led to what feeling. And then you can kind of dig to make you ask the question of, where did that come from? Where did that thought or that idea even come from in the first place? And is it true?
Oh, that's a good question to ask yourself. And I think your whiteboard idea is awesome, because you can use that at this juncture to help you keep track of all of this stuff and ask these questions.
It's just to see it in your face and say, hey, this is what was, but this is what is true. And, because we've created an identity, a storyline, and we have to really figure out if that story is who we want to be. Is this the story that we want to live? So,
well, let me ask you this. As we're going through this, as this hypothetical person is examining all of this stuff, what would you suggest they do if they come to something that they do feel is true about themselves that they really don't care for? Let's use the stupid thing that you came up with earlier, because that was one of my biggies. One of the thoughts that keeps playing over is you're so stupid. But then when you ask yourself, is this true, you honestly feel like it is because you've lived that way for so long. How would you suggest they kind of get through that and get over it?
Well, we have to dig further into where did that come from? Who told you that you were stupid? Who made you feel that way about yourself? Or what made you feel? What experience did you go through? What situation did you go through that made you feel that way? And when? It's kind of digging, and really getting back to the root of where it came from. With my situation, it was just my childhood and the issues that I had gone through. So I had to really ask myself these questions as far as, no, I am lovable, I am loved, I have friends, people do like me. I really had to go through each and every single one. And, as far as even being stupid, I knew that I wasn't stupid, and even if I have to find any little thing to validate that or make me feel better, I would disprove each and every one.
Well, a lot of us think stupid's our middle name, so I can understand why that would be a hard one to root out.
Yeah, I mean, anything negative like that, it had a starting point. It really had a starting point. Are you saying that you cannot learn? Am I telling myself that I can't learn something new if I go and read a book, that I won't be able to read it or understand it or learn something new? And that, you ask yourself questions like that. And the truth is absolutely I could go and learn something new. So I must not be stupid.
One of the things that I found that helped me with this particular exercise that you're talking about right now is take the offensive word, and again we'll use stupid, and go look it up in the dictionary and really tear that word apart and see what it really means. And surely enough, you will find there is a point of disconnect in there, like you just said. Can I do this? Can I do that? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And you realize that the word you're looking at does not apply to you at all.
Absolutely. It's attached to the identity that's been created. I always think of the mind as a tool, and a tool that's been given to us as a gift. But it's almost like we've forgotten that we have this amazing tool, and it's pretty much just come in physical form, almost like its own little entity. And another word for it's the ego. We hear the ego a lot, and I just, once you become aware of that, you can go ahead and say, hey, you know what? That's not the story I want. That's not the true story. And I feel like it's based upon our past experiences, our beliefs, and a lot of other things, the cultures that we have. And once we're aware of it, we can go ahead and replace these things with stuff that is really who we are. Or actually, it's becoming more of who you truly are, and getting rid of the mask.
Well, from the very outset of our lives, with the first breath we draw, we have people telling us what we should and shouldn't be feeling, what to look at, what to say, how to say it, all that sort of thing. And all of that is what has written our past story. So like you said, as we become aware of where all this stuff is coming from, then you can go back and change your stuff, yeah?
Absolutely. Let it go. let it go and replace it and create your new story.
Let's talk about letting go for a minute. I have found that particular phrase is something that people really have a problem with. Excuse me. They either don't know how to do it or can't conceive of doing it. And it's one of the biggest challenges that a lot of my students have run into. Have you got any pointers for helping people let go?
Yes, actually. And for me, even going through the process, letting go, the first thing is to accept what's going on, to accept it first, to accept, like the example earlier, to accept that I am comfortable with struggle. And because at first you want to say, no way, no, I'm not bringing this stuff into my life. This isn't stuff that I want, no way. And I'm just going to push it away, But if you accept it and you say, you know what, I am comfortable with this, or this is true, okay. And then you go ahead and release it. And I will, out loud, I will say, yes, I'm comfortable with struggle, and I no longer need to be comfortable with struggle, and I now release the need to suffer and be comfortable with struggle. And so I think accepting the issue first is key to being able to let go of it. Because you're making
so we're back to owning our own stuff again.
Yes, owning it, saying, hey, this is part of who I am, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, but it no longer serves me. So now I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to make change, and I'm going to take steps to get to something else, to something better that I truly desire and want. So, which is probably, for me, it was to no longer struggle. So
I think becoming really comfortable with what serves you and what doesn't serve you is critical right here.
Yeah.
And again, that's just my opinion. But once you figure out that this behavior, this thought process, this issue, this whatever it is, no longer serves your highest good, I think that makes it a little bit easier to let go of, don't you reckon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as you say, hey, this is what I want, but this is not what I have, and this is what I have, and you accept that that's what you have currently in this moment, and that's okay, then you can move towards what you want. So, like you said, it's really important to have a clear understanding of what you do want.
How would you suggest that people decide what it is they truly, really want?
Well, it's up to each and every person has their own path, has their own purpose. So I think once you start asking yourself what your purpose is, what it is that makes you truly happy, and where you're at right now, what would you change? If you could change something, what would you change? You have to ask yourself those questions. And that's kind of figuring out where the dysfunction is, where the dysfunction's lying in your life, whether it's in your relationship or not having the job that you want, or things like that. You have to figure out where the dysfunction is and what it is you would want differently.
I suggest to do that you write all of it down, because once you have it on paper, you start to see patterns, don't you?
Oh, yes. And it's amazing because some people we will sit here and say, this is what I want, and then we go into what we're doing, and it's completely opposite of what we want, going in the complete opposite direction, pattern after pattern, time after time. And then, until you have that outside person say, hey, but didn't you say you wanted this? Well, of course. And then you say, well, why are you doing that? And then we have this long explanation of why that's important and why it needs to be done. But then we get asked the question again, but I thought you said you wanted this. So a lot of it's what we do, not what we say, and is what we are saying in alignment with what we are doing, saying that we want anyway. in alignment with what we're doing.
And it's so easy to get off task. Just in the world we live in today, there's so many sparkly things that can make us look in the wrong direction. Or we have a feel-good moment and we think that's what we should be doing. And when you start asking yourself these questions again, you'll realize that you're way off path, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. And I catch myself all the time with that. I mean, that's why I find it very, very important to meditate daily to get back to my
absolutely, yes.
daily. I mean, it's so important to remember what is important and remember that we are alive and to be grateful for everything in every moment, because we do get wrapped up in our worlds and we are living on a physical planet and we have to be here. So it's difficult, but it's a practice. It's a lifestyle and way of being. Not and I would never switch the two around. I always have to make sure that there's a moment every day or time every day just to make sure that I'm in alignment with what I want and also with who I am and who I want to be. So
I want to interject here too that being in that alignment with what you want and who you really are is not a selfishly motivated thing. I've had a lot of clients and students say to me, well, if I'm just taking care of me, isn't that selfish? But it's that oxygen on the plane thing that I bring up every once in a while. You have to be in alignment with what you want. You have to be in alignment with yourself and working on your path in order to help anybody else, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, we're all connected, every one of us. Our energies are touching constantly. So if we're not in perfect alignment and balance, then every person that we come in contact with, they're going to feel it. They're going to know. We're not going to be able, to do what we were supposed to do here. And so for me, it's actually a responsibility. I feel like it's a responsibility to be in alignment and be who I am, who I'm supposed to be. Not a made-up fairy tale me, which we created, but truly who I am at my core as a being. And so I feel, again, it's like a responsibility. If we're on our path, which is hopefully the path of our higher self, then no matter what, we're going, it's for the greater good of all, not just ourselves.
Right. It's that we're part of the web. We weave it. We are part of it. We are it.
Exactly.
My quote from me is that I am the energy of creation. I am its vessel and its conduit.
Mhm. Yep, it's true, because no matter what, everything we come in contact with, we affect, whether we know it or not. So if we're not balanced and in alignment, how are we going to be able to...
I see this in nature all the time. There's an article out there about what happened to Yellowstone Park when they got rid of all the wolves. And the park started falling apart because this very vital aspect of the ecosystem of the area had been removed, and so everything started to implode. And we're like that, I think, as people on the planet working together as guidance, as facilitators, as light workers, whatever you want to call people who do what you do. And if we can't do our job to our highest ability, then that takes that aspect of the healing and the growth and the raising of frequencies out of the way, and then we go right back to where we were before, and that just can't happen, right?
Absolutely. And it's at the point where I could get off balance, or life would happen, so to speak, and everything is just wrong, and you know it's wrong. No, I can't. I have to get back. And I always call it getting back to me. I have to get back to that place of balance. And it's amazing because that shift, it shifts everything around you, and so there's so many of us everywhere and it's kind of, we need to hold each other up and build each other up. And we are that web, I guess.
I have a friend who calls it staying on your pivot. If you have a pivot point, you can move in any direction quickly and come back to your middle point without falling over. And I really like that analogy, and it's very tantamount to what we're talking about here. We all get knocked off our pivot sometimes, don't we? It's just the way life is. But being able to realize that quickly and get back to where you need to be is the crux of the matter.
Yeah, and also I feel like when we get knocked off, it's always for a reason. You know, we get to learn something and come back to our center, our place, our pivot point, and we come back stronger. We have a new piece of the puzzle. And I used to always tell my mom, why do you always do things the difficult way? Why do you always take a difficult path? I mean, she would always ask me that. And I'm like, well, Mom, as I got older, if I need to teach somebody something or have to show somebody how to do something, I have to learn it myself, right? And she would, oh, I guess so. I'm like, yeah. I've always been that way. I've always asked why, questioned everything. And, yes, I took the hard road, I guess you can say. But the thing is going from the bottom back to the top, you learn so many lessons. And, that's what made me who I am and got me to this place. And I always know where back. So no matter how far I fall, I go, oh, I learned that. That was awesome. I needed that one. I needed that one in my toolbox.
I always say that rocks are what make your river sing. And that's what I mean by that is those lessons you were just talking about, that hard work, that going the long way around. Creating these lessons for yourself that you learn them, that's what I'm talking about with the rocks. And I think it's very helpful to have all these things in our arsenal of awareness.
Absolutely, yes. It's funny because I would get excited every time I'd have a new awakening or a new moment of awareness. I just, that was so cool. I'm so glad I learned that one. I love those aha moments. I love it.
I have to admit that I do too. After the fact now, usually when I'm going through it, I'm kind of stomping around saying, and then when I get through it, oh, okay, got me another one.
Yes, it's so awesome. And then it's amazing because it's like you close your eyes and open them, and there's a new color. A new color was added, and I love that. So it gets really exciting for me anyway. I get very excited about learning something new about life and about people and how we move through time in relationship to each other. So it's really cool. Enjoying the journey for sure.
I want to go back to something we touched on at the top of the show, our beliefs and our perceptions that make up where we're coming from. Can you talk a little bit about that and how, and I know we've kind of danced all the way around it, but I kind of want to zero in on it. How can these beliefs and perceptions, A, help us get where we want to be, and B, how can we change those if we feel like we need to?
Mm-hmm. Well, your belief is, in my opinion, what we believe is what we create. What we believe we are and can do and cannot do is what we create. And I feel like we are manifestors here, and we create anything that we want in the physical realm or some version of it. And your belief is going to be what actually brings it into the physical form or realm. So, or our reality, I guess you can say. So if your past beliefs are negative and self-limiting, that's what you're going to create, more and more experiences of kind of proving those beliefs, your beliefs. So that's why it's important to know what your beliefs are, what your values are, and making sure that they're in alignment with what you really, really want versus what you fear. And as far as changing your beliefs, again, awareness comes to that. You need to become aware of what your beliefs are, what you are creating in your life. And so what you're going to see in your physical realm is going to lead you back to the belief that created it. And that's what you need to replace. So whether you don't believe in yourself or you feel like you're not good enough, where did that come from? And disproving it and replacing it with a new belief about yourself and having unshakable faith in
so we're basically
what you're...
back to asking ourselves those really hard questions, yeah?
Yes, it's digging.
Where does that come from? Why is it important to me?
Mm-hmm. It's that healing that needs to take place, that healing and getting back to who you are, getting back to who you truly are.
I think that a lot of what we believe that we carry with us from infancy aren't really our own beliefs anyway. They're just what we grew up with. It's what Mama said. It's what Daddy said. It's what Grandma, Grandpa said. And if you don't vibrate comfortably with those beliefs, you don't have to keep them, do you?
Absolutely not. And a lot of times, too, it's, those beliefs that we get from our family and our culture, because they are our beliefs, we play out experiences to validate them, to strengthen them almost. So, even in the relationships in our younger days, if we get hurt, typically we're validating whatever beliefs we grew up with about love and relationships. So it's almost like a cycle that just continues and strengthens and strengthens and strengthens, and those become our patterns. And it's becoming aware of the pattern. It's becoming aware of the dysfunction, really, to get to the root of it. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's really important to find out where the belief came from.
I'd say the other part of that is that you don't owe it any allegiance. And I've got a client that I'm working with now that just was really offended by this when I said it. But just because it's been a belief in your family for eons doesn't mean that you have to carry it on. You don't owe that belief anything.
Absolutely not, especially if it's not serving you. I call them the cycles. You need to break the cycle. Whatever cycle it is, if it's a cycle of negativity, it needs to be stopped. So you have a choice. You have a choice to break the cycle and replace it with a new healthy belief that's going to strengthen the cycle to come, or, choose to stay with it and choose to, in my opinion, live in suffering. So for me, it comes down to choice. Mm-hmm. Everything comes down to choice of how you want to live your life, what you want to create.
Go ahead.
We need to, it's important to make that choice and take responsibility and say, you know what, this is not what I want anymore, and kind of figure out how you got there.
Well, let me ask you this. As you are examining your choices and you're examining this belief system, would you say that it's okay to have an intermediary belief system that can get you from point A to point A and a half, if that's what you need to do, and then reevaluate it once you get there?
Yes, every person is different. Every person, how they heal is different. So with me, I would say always shoot for the grandest belief. Don't sell yourself short. And even if it looks like it's completely out of reach, you have to have something. You have to have a vision, a large vision for yourself as far as your belief is concerned. And it's like you said, it's difficult. It's difficult to dig. It really is difficult to dig. But once you're ready to heal, you're going to be ready. You know, it's going to be tough, but I always say, when you're ready, you're ready. If you're not, you're not, and that's your choice. That's that person's journey. That's that person's choice. Like when I was going through my thing, when I was going through depression, I mean, there's times I could not get out of bed. I could not, and I'm a pretty bubbly person. Anybody who knows me, I'm very bubbly, pretty energetic, and I would cry for no reason. I was so miserable, and when I had enough, I had enough. You know, and I guess that's that question you have to ask. Are you done with suffering? Are you done with holding on to the shame and pain and heartache? And when the answer is yes, well, what are we going to create in place of it? It's going to be work, but I'm telling you, that work's going to be worth every moment. So,
well, what I've discovered is when you've made that decision and you start on that path, it's not really work anymore. It's your enlightened movement toward this wonderful new goal, which takes the work out of it.
Yeah,
and that sounds
and
very
even the
Pollyanna-ish and all that, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to have hope and get excited for possibilities of something better. You know, if we don't have hope, we don't have anything. And I feel like as coaches and as people who are here to help give guidance, we need to inspire that hope. You know, that you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to feel alone. And there is a way out.
Right at the very beginning of my journey, my guru said to me, "Stop suffering over your own suffering." To which I replied, "What?" But that's kind of what we do. We get caught up in that loop. We get so used to the suffering, and then we start suffering because we're suffering. And that's
the self-pity.
That's when you need to ask that question, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah, it really is. Those questions of what do you want? What are you doing? How are you living your life? And you know, some people just aren't ready. You know, it's one of those things. You cannot force anyone to change. You cannot change anyone. We can't change anyone. For me, I feel like I just kind of help with the pointers. You know, kind of push you in the right direction, or just bring clarity to certain things. But it has nothing so much to do with what I'm doing, but that person is ready.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how my program works, too. I give you the reasons why this might be a better thing and the tools with which to create this better thing, and then I step out of your way and say, okay, go do what you want.
There you go. Yeah, it's important, you know, to try to reveal things, or it's having things reveal themselves to that person, the synchronicities that start to come to life. And
well, the thing is that when you start on that path and you start doing everything we've been talking about, and you start becoming, my phrase is consciously aware of what it is you're really doing, that's when those pointers just kind of jump up and say, here I am. And you think, wow, why didn't I see that 20 years ago? It's because you weren't ready, but you are now, yeah?
Yep, absolutely. When you're ready, you are ready. And it's funny because when I was going through my thing, I just kept asking for guidance. I kept asking for knowledge and wisdom. And, well, you know, things just started popping up everywhere. I'm like, ooh, what's that mean? What's that do? Let me follow that. And it's just, you know, it's like a little rabbit hole that I found myself. But these are the things that I asked for. I asked for these things. And so the more aware I became of the little messages and signals, the louder they became, the more frequent they became. And so I said, okay, you know what? This is what I asked for. This is what I'm going to accept. And I think through that also is where the idea of belief, creating your belief, because you're going to manifest what you believe. Regardless if you know it or not, we're doing it. We are creating constantly. So I always say just get on board, and you'd rather be creating what you want than what you don't want. And kind of have fun with it. That's another thing. I kind of encourage people, but I encourage people to get excited about the possibility of being able to create whatever you want, or to stop suffering. Have fun with it. I mean, that gets so exciting just to be able to be and enjoy life and enjoy moments and then be able to create. It's just, and of course that's after we've done the work of getting rid of all the old story residual stuff and healing. One of the things I think we do as adult humans is we get so serious about everything. My husband always says we should always keep alive that divine spark of bozo. And like you just said, have fun. It's okay to have fun. You don't have to be in a state of seriosity all the time. Laugh, enjoy things, look for things that make you happy, even if it's just, I don't know, watching water drain out of a bag or something. Anything that'll make you smile, that lightens the mood and brings, and look for those moments instead of the ones that upset you and bring you down. There you go. When you practice living in the moment and being grateful for the moments, it's amazing the things that you start to see pop up. And that's another great thing to do, is to list all the things that you're grateful for and to do that daily and watch that list grow. And, I find myself giggling when I'm washing dishes. I'm like, what is going on? And it was just the fact that I became grateful just to be able to be in my own home and to be washing my own dishes. And I know it sounds so silly, but after practicing being in each moment and practicing gratitude, all of those little things you start to see. When you get closer to your mic, we're losing you. Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that once you start living moment to moment and start seeing all these little things that we have, you do feel more grateful. And it's the little things that start to really fill you up with joy. And, that's what I feel life is all about, is enjoying the moments or being able to get to that place where you're enjoying every little moment. Well, I certainly can't argue with any of that. Our time's about up, Erica. Before we go, could I ask you for a salient point that our listeners can take away from the show? I don't care if you've said it 20 times during the show, just one thing that if they don't get anything else, they take this home with them. That it is okay to feel alone and feel different, or that, things are hopeless or bleak, but you have to hold on to any little spark of hope, because it only takes a spark of hope to really ignite you on your path and know that you're worth everything and that you can achieve and create anything, that we're always manifesting, we're always creating, and all it takes is a choice to, choose something better for yourself and walk in that direction. All you need to do is walk in that direction of change. And everything that you need is going to find you, and you will find it. And, that's all I can say is hold on to hope, that there's always hope and that you can create whatever you want. That's beautiful. I like that. Thank you very much. All of Erica's contact information will be posted when the show goes live, so you will be able to get hold of her if you should want to take advantage of her awesome coaching and teaching and trainering. So I'll have that up there for you. Erica, thank you so much for being on the program today. Thank you for having me. Very, very pleased with what you've told our listeners. It's basically the same thing I tell everybody, too, but coming from a different perspective, it'll click. So thank you again, and I want to thank all of you all, please, thank you for joining me on the show. If you'd like to send in a question or a suggestion for a topic that you'd like covered on the show, please send your question, your suggestion, or your request to me
at chessieroberts.com. You can find all of my information there at chessieroberts.com, all of my programs and classes and all that sort of thing. My music that you hear at the beginning and end of the show, you can find that at archersmeadow.com. And my book is on Amazon.com. All you have to do is go onto Amazon, type in Chessie Roberts, and I will pop up. And please feel free to leave a review. I really like hearing from my readers. So thank you again. You all have a wonderful time till we get together on the next show. And until then, bright blessings. Bye-bye.